This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
Where we want to educate you about our market, empower you to make wise decisions, and help you engage with our expert contributors. But I also want to talk to you about how people, when they make that decision on how to buy the home, how to hold title, we call it vesting. You know, there's a bunch of choices, and they're confusing.
People don't ask enough questions about this.
And it's confusing.
They never ask enough questions.
It's confusing. They say, what should I? They ask what should I do? I'm like, I don't know. So tell us about joint tenants versus tenants in common versus trust. Tell us about those things.
Yeah. So there's different ways to hold title, and here in Nevada, and not just in Nevada, it's actually across the country. We have different ways. The two most common that you see are tenants in common and joint tenants.
Okay.
Tenants in common, the way that I explain it, is kind of a equal share. If you're on title, and not just husband and wife, you're on title with 4 people, you can own 25% each, or you can break it up into a different amount.
Okay.
So it's dividable, basically.
Gotcha.
Joint tenants mainly is kind of like last man standing is the way that I explain that.
Okay.
You can start with 10 people on title, and as one passes away, we go down to 9, down to 8, all the way down to the last man standing would own the property at 100%.
Gotcha.
The difference between the two is that tenants in common would not require probate in order to sell the property.
Okay.
Where tenants in common, on the other hand, the portion of the person who was to pass away that portion would have to go through probate.
So joint tenants doesn't need probate. Tenants in common would.
Correct.
Tell us about trusts.
Well, in short, I'm not going to go into the real deep of it, but it's a separate entity of the outside of the individuals that are usually controlled by the individuals. It's made up of a trustor, a trustee, as well as a beneficiaries to that. Mainly controlled by the trustees of the trust, and they control the assets, the movement of the trust, what it can do and what it can't do. And a lot of homeowners here in the Valley elect to vest their property in a trust. What it allows them to do is basically pass that on to who they want it to go to without having to go through the legal process.
The most common thing that I hear, which is it avoids probate.
Right.
The trust tells you what happens to that asset. It's separate from the life of an individual.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's a great way to look at it. It is separate from the life of an individual.
Right.
You could have assets in a trust, and you can have assets that are not in that trust. It's not all encompassing. It's whatever you want to put into that trust.
Right.
So it is a way to hold title for homeowners who have a very clear path of what they want to do when they pass away.
And earlier you mentioned that joint tenants avoids probate, but it only avoids probate in the sense that one spouse just takes over. It doesn't really go beyond that.
Correct.
Once that second spouse passes, then now you've got an issue.
Now you're going to go to probate.
Where you go to probate, or at that point it would be much better if you were in a trust, because then you've already got a plan in place to avoid probate.
Yeah, and really what happens is the ownership will change. If you have a husband and wife on title and the husband passes away and they were joint tenants, the new ownership becomes the wife.
Wife, right.
She's not going to hold it as joint tenants because you have to have 2 or more individuals to hold it as joint tenants. She's going to hold it as an unmarried woman or a widowed woman.
Right.
And then when she passes away, that would go to probate.
That goes to probate.
Correct.
Let's say her husband passes away. She could theoretically at that point go ahead and put it into a trust to protect the kids from having to deal with probate should she pass.
Sure. Definitely.
Okay.
This has been Las Vegas Real Estate Now. Thanks for listening, and remember to tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.